Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where every day I learn about how technology is transforming our lives, business, and indeed world. And I also like to hunt down unique ideas and concepts that are not just a technology looking for a problem, but a company that's leveraging technology and enjoying fantastic success. So when I discovered GetMyBoat, which is essentially a boat rental marketplace that's often labelled Airbnb of boats, it quickly got my attention because whenever I book a city break or going away on holiday, I'm increasingly noticing that more and more people, and include myself in that, are shunning traditional soulless hotel lobbies that all look exactly the same, whether you're in Moscow, Paris, Dubai, Manhattan or Beijing. It doesn't matter, does it? Because every single lobby looks identical. And people are starting to turn away from that. And what I am noticing is more and more people are choosing to stay on boats. And as someone that remembers Don Johnson's Crockett living on a boat in Miami when I was growing up, I can certainly see the appeal. Welcome to the experience economy, where everybody wants an experience rather than just a box standard stay in a hotel room. So GetMyBoat is changing the way people get out on the water and pushing for standardisation of the boat rental industry as a whole. And I think they've sent over 60,000 people out onto the water in the last 2 years alone. So that was enough for me to send over a podcast invite flare over the ocean. And thankfully, they agreed to join us today on the podcast and tell us all about GetMyBoat. So come with me as we sail all the way to Minnesota so we can speak with Valerie from GetMyBoat, who's going to tell us all about it and share their story. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Valerie. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I am the head of marketing for GetMyBoat. We're the largest global boat rental marketplace with boats in over 184 countries. And I do a lot of the marketing initiatives, the social media, and the PR.
Now, GetMyBoat first appeared on my radar when I saw it described as a boat rental marketplace or the Airbnb of boats. But can you help listeners understand more about exactly what GetMyBoat is?
Absolutely. So we call ourselves, or we've been kind of dubbed the Airbnb or Uber of boats because of the peer-to-peer aspect of boat rentals. So we are a platform that connects renters and owners. We bring both sides together. And, and it doesn't have to be necessarily for overnights like Airbnb, although you can rent, yachts to sleep aboard. But a lot of it is, like a chartered boat cruise for a day, a pontoon rental for a couple of hours. And then even things like jet skis, water sports, whale watching tours, pretty much anything on the water is open to be on our platform. And we function by connecting renters, people who want to rent a boat but don't own one, to owners who either, a lot of the times they are like tour companies or charter companies or like other boat rental agencies who use our platform, or it can be an individual owner as well who wants to rent out their boat when they're not using it.
And I think labels like Airbnb of boats or Uber of boats allow people just to get what you do instantly. But if you zoom out, it's much, much bigger than that because, one, you seem to be using technology to change the way people get out on the water, but you're also pushing for standardization of the boat rental industry as a whole. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the boat rental market, before the platforms like ours came on the scene, was very fragmented. You'd call a lot of marinas and maybe you'd just have the option for one type of boat and it would be, really expensive, or, they wouldn't have available what you want. And this way we're trying to standardize it by having different systems in place where people can have a selection of different types of boats. You have more price transparency. You have lots of different options to choose from. And just a lot of different, and also just more locations in general. So maybe before you would have to go to a more popular boating lake with a big marina to have options, but now you could find a local boat owner on a smaller lake in your area and just take their boat out for a more, relaxing experience if you don't want to go to a really busy, not just lake, body of water anywhere. Anywhere that boats can be found, you can now rent one, and we have a system in place that makes it just a lot easier.
And as someone that lives, 2.5 hours away from any water or anything, I instantly understand, the Uber of boats. You get the app and you get that boat, or you get out on the water. But what fascinated me was when I started digging a little bit deeper, because I believe you have systems in place for things that I never even thought about, such as captain verification, price transparency, that also all go along with that easy to use app. I mean, can you expand on that just to offer that full picture?
Sure. Yeah. A very popular option on our platform is a captain charter. So we have our boat captains, sending in all of their identification and all of the necessary information that we need to verify that they are a captain and they can take people out on charters. And this is, this has been really great because it's definitely the most popular option. A lot of times if people do not have boating experience, but they want to get out on the water, we can connect them with a captain who can take them out. And that just makes it a lot easier. You don't have to be stressed about insurance or finding someone who can drive the boat, and just always making sure we adhere to local laws and regulations is super important. And that helps to create a much safer boating environment all around now that people can have access to certified captains to take them out instead of renting on their own. It just makes the entire boating atmosphere a lot safer. So that's been helpful. And with the price transparency, now people can go on the app or on the desktop site and search a specific area that maybe they're looking to boat in, and they can just see a lot more options. Whereas before, like I was saying, a lot of times if you were staying at a hotel and you asked about boat rentals, you're going to get one option that might be really expensive. Or if you go to just one marina, they might only have one available, and that could be really expensive. Whereas this, you're going to be able to see a lot of different prices. You can read reviews of people who have rented or booked a charter before with a particular captain, which can kind of give you some insight into how the day would go. And it's just so you can read other people's stories and kind of help shape your own choices as a renter to know what you're getting yourself into when you book.
And am I right in saying that you guys have sent over 60,000 people out there on the water in the last 2 years alone? And if that figure's correct, I mean, what kind of role did technology, or how big a role did technology play in making that possible?
Right. Yeah, that is the correct number. And it has been crazy with technology. I mean, I think the fastest turnaround that we had this year was from like a renter submitting an inquiry to a captain to being out on the water was 20 minutes was all it took. So it was like a very quick turnaround, and it just kind of shows how people want to have access to these experiences on demand. I mean, I would say the vast majority of people do book, at least a week in advance, but it's just a way of making things a lot easier and a lot quicker. Maybe in the summertime, you have a free weekend and your friends want to get together and go boating. You can just check out on the app, see what's available around you, submit an inquiry, and then, set your plans for the weekend it's a lot faster. So, and also just providing access to these sorts of experiences to people all around the world is super important to us as well. And technology has made that a lot easier because all you have to do is, download the app and see what's around. So, it's been huge.
And do you think this rise of the experience economy is attributed to your success at all too? Because it does seem more and more people have got this lust for experiences rather than stopping in soulless hotels somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, we now we have all these different ways of transports. You have all these different options for accommodations, but everyone wants, what do I do once I get there? That's the big thing is, what activities are we going to do? What are we going to see? And in so many places, some of the most amazing experiences that you can have are out on the water, whether it be, an island hopping tour in Thailand, or going whale watching, or, in Miami, which is like one of our biggest markets. People love like cruises to various sandbars for boat parties. And by giving people access to this, we're giving them access to like really amazing travel experiences, or even amazing experiences in their own hometowns that they just couldn't have before if they couldn't own a boat. And I think it's particular with, the boat rental industry, or just the boating industry, is it's harder and harder for people to commit to owning a boat. There's different studies that show the average boat is used only 8% of the year, and boats are very expensive. So, the vast majority of people can't necessarily afford to own their own, but by having access, to have that experience and to rent what they want, when they want it, that's definitely been huge.
And there will be people listening to this podcast all over the world, and many are going to be making travel plans for the year ahead and ticking those bucket list items off. But can I ask what markets you serve? Because it's not just the US, is it?
Correct. So we actually are found in 184 countries in 9,300 destinations as of right now. We really are trying to expand to everywhere. The United States is one of our biggest markets, but we also have, quite a market in Canada, Australia, the UK, a lot of different parts of Europe. And then, of course, Thailand, and a bit of South America as well, Colombia and the Caribbean. So it is really all over the world.
Wow. I'm curious, do you have any feedback stories you can share, or do you get to hear these feedback stories of the kind of people that you help?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always really enjoy reading our user reviews after a cruise or a boat rental. The renter and the owner can write feedback of each other. So it's kind of similar to, like your Uber rating. So you can write a little bit about your experience. And I love reading the renter stories. I mean, it's really amazing. We see everything from really successful proposals where the captain will make sure to at the exact moment, he'll coordinate with whoever's doing the proposing, and he'll have the boat positioned that has a beautiful background right at the exact moment. So they get the perfect photo. Or, weddings at sea, bachelorette parties, or even just stories of families getting together and taking out little kids to go whale watching or dolphin watching in the wild, and they just have the best time. Reading all of these different stories of people just talking about how they had a great day out on the water is so fulfilling and rewarding. And it's amazing that, we can make these sort of things accessible to more people who, wouldn't be able to afford a boat maybe on their own to own it, but now they can have that same experience with ease. You can book everything from your phone. So it's been really cool. It's been a really cool way to company to work for, and just to see how we've evolved as well in the past year with just more and more really cool stories of people renting boats and having their special days out on the water.
And for anyone listening to us now that are actually downloading the app while they're listening to this podcast, can you just possibly walk me through what's waiting for them and how to get the most out of the platform for once they've got it on their phone?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you have it on your phone or on your computer, you can create an account. It's totally free to have an account. And then what I would recommend doing is browsing by where you maybe are traveling in 2020, as you mentioned, if you have some travel plans, checking out what your options would be there, or even in your hometown. If you just search by location, it's going to show you all the different options, whatever location you're looking at. And then you can also filter, you can put a price filter on it if you're on a strict budget. Or you can also select various activities. So, you can choose regular power boats, pontoons, or if you're looking for a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard, that's an option as well. You can filter by any sort of experience that you want. And if you are seriously considering booking, as you're going through, what you do is you send a booking inquiry to a captain. So if you found a listing that you like, you send a booking inquiry. And at this point, there's no financial obligation. You're not committing to anything. And you just, send the information with what dates you want their watercraft, what sort of experience you're looking for, how many people, all of that information. And the captain will get to review it, and then they will respond with an offer. And at this point, the customer can either choose to accept the offer, where they'll pay and confirm the booking, or if they want the captain to make some changes to the booking, they can request that. Or if you're just not interested anymore, you can cancel, and there's no financial obligation at that point.
And as we move into 2020, what's going to be your big focus? Is there anything else that you can share with us today about how you, as a company, are going to continue to leverage technology at GetMyBoat?
We do have some exciting announcements coming up, but I can't reveal them yet, except I can say that we are really focusing on, expanding to even more locations, to offer more options. We have a lot of places where, we almost ran out of available boats. We had more renter demand than there was owners. So looking to really grow and have, just a variety of options in those sorts of places for all sorts of budgets, not just expensive yachts and, not just kayaks or stand-up paddleboards, but to have more options in a lot more places. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to, and just trying to grow to as many countries as we can, and capturing all sorts of different stories of different types of renters and people who want to get out on the water.
You can't beat a good teaser to leave us all with. So we'll have to get you back on the podcast next year as those announcements come out. But before you do leave us, can you just remind everyone listening of where they can download that app, where they can find you online, and also contact your team if they do have any other additional questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is GetMyBoat.com. You can find our app. It's available in the App Store on iPhones, as well as it's available for Android users as well. And if you ever have any questions, we do have a 24-hour customer support team. You can always reach out to them to ask any questions, as well as find us on all of our social media at GetMyBoat.
Fantastic. Well, I'll add all those links to the show notes and the blog posts that will accompany this episode over on my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. But I think more than anything, it's just such a unique and great idea. Like we were saying a few moments ago, the experience economy is thriving at the moment. People are looking to do something a little bit different with their travel plans, and this just seems to hit the mark on so many levels. So a big thank you for coming on and sharing that story with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
What a great idea. Oh, it reminds me of that old Deacon Blue song, Dignity. But I'm showing my age just even mentioning that song. But I always fancied disappearing on a boat into the sunset. And then when I find myself in the middle of nowhere as it goes completely pitch black, I'd love to then put a DVD of Jaws on. Who knows, Get My Boat might enable me to tick the experience off my list. But I love how they're using tech to send over 60,000 people out onto the water in the last 2 years alone. And it's not just for guys like me to tick that Jaws idea off my bucket list or have a lust for sea fishing. But it's also to enable people who own their own boats and water sports equipment to earn money off it when they're not using it. But I am here in the West Midlands, so I'm a few hours away from the sea, but rocking up somewhere warm and living the dream for a few days certainly appeals to me. So if you have wanderlust, or just someone that would like to rent out their property and earn more off it when they're not using it, what do you think of Get My Boat and all the topics that we've discussed today? As always, share your thoughts, insights, expertise, questions, or anything you think we've missed by simply emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or tweeting me at Neil C. Hughes. And remember, if you'd like to work with me in 2020, you can also find my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. But I'm afraid we're at the end of another episode and I'm preparing to count down for another new year and also a new decade too. So I'll go put the champagne on ice and we'll start that preparation together. So thanks for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.